Rogue Logic. This is the way.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Rogue Logic. I would like to start out, as I always do, if you could like and subscribe and hit notifications. It's a huge help, and it really does help grow the community and the channel. I would really appreciate it. And other than that, please comment below about anything you'd like to that pertains to the video, and I'm open to critique as well as agreement. So that being said, I'm just going to quickly introduce this. Once again, I have found that my schedule has been extremely busy as of late, and this is going to be another episode of Rogue Logic on the Road. And basically, I did want to just start out with this brief statement. And, I do feel that I've been a bit remiss about, one of the main focuses that I started out with this channel was life post-cancer, especially those cancers that are of a very, very, well, any cancer is serious, but in the sense that, you receive a likely terminal outlook or possibly something like that. And as I've stated in my other videos earlier, that really is not, it's not my area of expertise. What I would like to do is be able to report to you all when I actually find some great scientific studies that are peer-reviewed and backed up by science and the medical community, because they're much better at that than I am. And mostly what my focus is really all of the things that go along with getting a prognosis like that. And I haven't been doing many videos on that lately, and so I did decide to do a little bit of one because of what I'm actually experiencing right now. And at any rate, I really hope that you enjoy it and you can actually take some really important points from there. And this one's really, really important, and I'd like to really hear from people who had different types of cancer and maybe different issues, because I think the more that we can all help each other, the better. And I just think that would be a great way for us to communicate and perhaps an exchange of ideas. So I will move on to Rogue Logic on the Road. Peace.
Rogue Logic. On the road.
Welcome everyone to Rogue Logic on the Road. I've been doing a lot of on-the-road editions lately due to time constraints. And as always, if you could hit like and subscribe and of course hit notifications so you know when I have new material, I would really appreciate all of those three things. And please comment in the area down below and let me know what you think and what your views are, whether you agree with me or you don't, or if you have anything to add. And one thing that I did want to say before I start today is my wording was a little, I always rewatch my videos.
A glutton for punishment,
I try to make corrections wherever I can before I publish them. But my wording was a little odd on the video I recently did regarding the satire of the loss of our freedoms in the different countries. And the way I said something sounded a little bit off when it came to the bizarre notion that these hard, conservative, right-wing, theocratic people are starting to even put, established normalcy, such as interracial marriage and contraception on the line, as far as taking these things away from us. So if my wording sounded wrong at all, that's not what I meant. And I think everyone knew that, but I like to clarify. So today, what I'd like to talk about is a subject that I think I would be remiss if I didn't get back to, and I am going to try to get back to this topic a little more often. But as you all know, one of the whole reasons that I have moved away from simply talking about cancer, terminal cancer, cancer treatments and things is because I want to enjoy life and do the things that I actually have more information about, and leave that to the people who actually can do it best, who are educated and who are doctors and scientists working on things of this nature. So that being said, I still do want to put my content in about post-cancer survival, because that is what seems to be really still what's, for lack of a better way of putting it, what's haunting me still. And I just want people to know what they're in for, and some of the issues that are going to come up for you unless you're independently wealthy. So the reason I'm bringing this up is that one thing that's not good for any of us is stress. Whether you are a cancer patient or not, it doesn't matter. We all do not want to... Okay, there we go. See, this is driving these days. On the phone and just not even stopping at a four-way stop. Hey, you! But you'll have that sort of thing. Back to my point is that the amount of stress that I have been under for the past couple weeks, and it's my own fault, I'm not blaming anyone but myself in a sense, is that I know how to combat stress. I know how to deal with it, and I've been through some of the worst stress anyone can be through. So I usually step back from the day-to-day things like bills and the state and their issues and this and that, but it's been overwhelmingly difficult because what happens in our state, I'm gonna keep this to Connecticut because that's what I'm familiar with, that's what I know, what I'm talking about, rather than make assumptions about other parts of the country. I will do a little bit of research and see which programs are universal or on a federal level. But right now, I'm just dealing with the Connecticut Social Security Department. And I will tell you this, the people that you encounter at the local office are just great people. They're doing their job. They are very helpful and kind whenever you're there. And if you treat them with respect, as you should, they always treat you the same way. And it's been really great. The issue when it comes to that is more when you try to handle things on the telephone.
If you need help, then dial your operator.
Or on the internet. All right, welcome back, everyone. So as I was saying, the problem has been I'm going to say this is a twofold problem, and this is what I've learned over the years of dealing with this since I got sick. First of all, you have what I would consider an extreme lack of a cohesive system with the state system, where one department does not have any communication with another. Because what will happen is you will speak with someone, you'll resolve an issue to the best of your knowledge, and then all of a sudden you get the same paperwork again. And when I say paperwork, I am talking about sometimes 20 to 25 pages, the same stuff over and over. And not only is it a heinous, complete waste of paper and therefore trees, but, it's just redundant, completely redundant. So that keeps happening. And then I think what else you have is that in our world today, it's become nearly impossible, as we all know, to speak with someone in an actual office there that can access your paperwork, your account, your files, and not have to go through incredibly long hours of waiting, and it's just ridiculous. So if you're going to have social programs that really are beyond what you can do yourself when prompted by online, very primitive AIs, or even just, fill in the blanks and fill it out yourself, you do have to provide a certain level of human customer service. So what my advice to everyone is always, go to your local office. You are 100% better off. They're kind, they're courteous, you sit down, wait your turn. Usually that isn't even that bad of a deal. Could be busy, could not. But at any rate, that's the best way to handle it. Now, the second problem, besides what that basically boils down to is bureaucracy, is that you do have people who are scamming the system. Now, you're always going to have that. It doesn't matter what we're talking about. It makes no difference. But here's one where I do have to say that now that I've been through what I've been through, I understand the burden that puts on people who really actually need to use either unemployment or disability, Social Security benefits, anything of this nature, because of an actual injury, an illness, or retirement. Whatever the case may be, the people who are scamming the system, and don't worry, I don't do things like that as far as telling on people. That's not
snitch,
my business. That's their game to play. I don't do such things. But I know several people, and have known several people for a very long time, who are quite proud of the fact that they know how to play the system, they know how to beat the system, and they basically are living off all of us, because in the end, we're all paying into that, we're all paying taxes, so they are doing this. Now, here's the problem. The state, in my opinion, now this is not the resources that they may or may not spend, which I'm going to try to look up so I can have some actual numbers here and be a little more accurate on trying to go after these people. I don't know what that is, but what I think would be and people are going to probably push back on this, or at least say, well, that's not really not, put that into your budget, which I'm sure they do to some degree, because as I said earlier, you are going to have people who are scamming the system no matter what you're talking about. It doesn't matter if it's a state system, it doesn't matter if it's benefits, it doesn't matter if it's a grant, you're always going to have this sort of thing, unfortunately. So by putting an allotment towards that, and of course still monitoring it, then that to me seems a better answer, because what happens to people like myself is all just complete hell. And this is why, is that I provide them everything that they need, and I've never done this before. You have to remember, I've never collected unemployment, I never collected state aid. I basically began to start learning about how these programs work when my parents both became incapacitated. My father got colon cancer and went through that. My mother has MS, and she's now in a rest home. And so over the time, I saw what you had to do, how you had to work, everything through the system. Then, when I unexpectedly got sick, I, again, was grateful that the system was in place. If it weren't, I would not be here talking to you now. Maybe some of you are like, damn, that's too bad. But you know what? Screw you. I don't think too many people are thinking that, but who knows?
Probably a few.
Okay. Yeah, well, all right. I'm going to say more people are not thinking that than are. And I'm getting sidetracked.
No surprise there.
Yeah, I do get sidetracked often. So anyway, so here I am providing them with every bit of information that they request. And they request it often, and you have to be reviewed often. And I understand the need for this type of thing. You need to make sure people aren't just going to say, get a broken leg or whatever, and then stay on state assistance for 30 years. But when you are talking about long-term health issues, and they keep after you, and you're the one who is actually playing by the rules, unfortunately, in the net, that's who they seem to go after, because I cooperate with everything, I do what I'm asked, and it still doesn't matter. So to give you some context, when I got the horrific news that the things that I was experiencing was in fact pancreatic cancer, I don't need to say, this is something that gives you pause, and I've talked about that before, so I don't want to go through that again. And if there are any questions, please put them in the comments below. But I was lucky enough to fight through that, and now I still have all the different things that go along with a prognosis like that. Now, I am lucky enough to be here, but years of chemotherapy, an operation that didn't go well, and then an operation that did save my life, and all of the issues along with that are ongoing. They don't leave. They don't go away. And here's the thing. I am grateful just to be here. So I try not to let any of this get to me too much, because there's just no use in it. I mean, what's going to happen is going to happen, but you also have to balance that out with, you have to take care of these affairs. And when you literally have become, I'm sorry, there's somebody walking. I want to be careful here. When you become incapacitated as far as not being able to do the type of work that you did prior to your illness, which is where I find myself. So the state has now first decided that and this is going back to 2020, this is now 2023 in March, and they provided me with assistance, which is very meager. It was not that much, but the numbers it's under $1,000 a month, and in our current economy and world, that is certainly not enough to pay your bills. And as a footnote, I will say, even completely through my illness, I was doing something for employment no matter what. Now, I'm not going to speak about it. Probably the best thing is not to, because it's unemployment that isn't reported technically is not legal. But of course, I wasn't doing anything illegal. I was just using other ways, selling things just so we leave the mystery out of it, and things of that nature. I always was working, even through the worst of my treatment and everything. So I'm not trying to get a medal here, but what I am saying is, even with that compensation, I couldn't pay my bills. So I got very lucky as far as the community that surrounds me, and they did a great deal to help me out for a time, and I had great friends, and you have all of this, but here's what happens. After you get cancer, and then you either survive or you don't, and you move forward, you can't expect that from people anymore, and I don't. You have to realize life moves on. There are other people with cancer. There's people who just got told today that they're getting cancer, or they have cancer, and they are the people who are on the forefront. They are the ones who need the community to come together for them now, not me. So with that being said, where it leaves you is that, okay, I've done everything I possibly can do to try to stay above water, and the state is going back and forth of, did you deserve that money or not? And then they will send these expansive packets that you have to fill everything out, and they have your bank accounts, and they have all of this. They have all the information. So there's no issue. And then after a while, they've decided that, from this month till this month, and I could give you specifics, but I'm not going to bother. Let's just say a 6-month period. You weren't entitled to that Social Security payment.
Excellent. Bloody great news.
Yeah. Okay, so now, instead of recuperating, instead of working on my YouTube channel, instead of doing some artwork, instead of doing what I need to do to get myself better, I am now spending my time going through the paperwork again, showing them this is what I had, this is what I didn't, and then they fixed it. I had to go to several times to the local Social Security office, and then that was fixed. And then, as I said, with lack of communication in the bureaucratic system, I get the letter again, and this time it's about a different period of time. And so now my head is spinning. I have to do the paperwork again. I have to go back to the office again. And they solve the problem again. And then here's another issue that I hope no one ever has to deal with, but here's what the rule is in Connecticut. And to my utter amazement, and I mean this, I cannot figure this out. I know people, personally know them, who are on Husky, which is Connecticut's state insurance, and they have a considerable amount of assets, okay? I know in bank accounts and stock markets and things, and more power to them. But we're talking about some people who are well off to up to millionaires. And yet, for some reason, for my ability to qualify, I can only have $2,000 or less in all bank accounts everywhere. So whether I have one checking account and one savings account or 10 of each, you can never have more than $2,000. Okay? So now here's the real fun part, and this is what has kept me busy over the last couple years. And I want to put a note in here really quickly. I'm not complaining. I'm happy to be here for this fight. But I am trying to help other people so you don't have to go through this. So what happens is, if that amount in your accounts, if you go over that by 1 penny on any given month, a flag goes up, they take it away, you have to have a review, and so forth. So now imagine the amount of money that is required in 2023 and 22 and 21 that in recent times to keep yourself stable and above water. As far as, okay, I have a home, I don't have a mortgage, so that's a great thing right there. But housekeeping, you have to have your house kept up. Now, during the years of my parents being at the house where I took care of them, everything just went to hell. That my father was, you can't just tell people who are in their right mind. Well, technically they were, but I thought they were crazy, and my mother still is. But that's the side. They were in their right mind. My father was in charge of his own finances, so this was up to him. But everything basically went to hell. He got older, he couldn't handle it, wouldn't let anyone else handle it, so the house needs to be painted terribly. The wood, the sideboard all falling apart. There's a shed that has to be ripped down. The water system needs to be overhauled, and so forth and so on. So all of these things happened. Now, when I got ill, when I got cancer, I wasn't aware and couldn't think of anything other than you have to put yourself into complete survival mode. You have to just, that's it. I have to make sure I live, and so on. So as I went through that, my father passed away in the day before Thanksgiving in 2020. And little did I know that he had let the house insurance lapse. And not only did he let it lapse, I can't get it back. So I've had no house insurance for 3 years because they won't give it back. The house is in incredible need of repairs, which I've been very glad to have some help from neighbors and things to do minor things that definitely needed to be addressed right away. But the house will not be insured. So at any given time, if anything happens to my house, I'm uninsured and it's gone. So this is another thing the state doesn't take into account. Taxes. You have to pay your taxes no matter what. They don't care if you have cancer. They don't care what happened to you. You have to pay your taxes. So I made sure I paid my taxes. They're current right now. Then you have an electric bill. Now in Connecticut, we have Eversource. And that has been another nightmare where I was able to pay it, and then for some reason the skyrocketing amount of electricity bills, as well as the delivery service of the electricity, so they're expanding these fees to incredible amounts. Now we have a small home, okay? It's 2-bedroom, 1 bathroom, back porch, kitchen, dining room, living room, and sunroom. That's it. Cellar. So it's a tiny place, and the electric bill keeps skyrocketing. So I'm going to find out what the exact amount is, but I called Eversource. I told them my position, and what they'll do for you is they will say, okay, well, you're going to pay this flat rate a month, and some of the money will come off of your balance. So again, I'm doing things correctly. I'm not just not paying my bills or whatever. So my amount was $270 a month, which is actually ridiculously high for a small home and not much use of many things. So you have, I don't do incredible amounts of wash. The lights aren't left on all the time. The only things that may be a draw are a couple heaters and things. So at any rate, once the state decided, no, you can't have this anymore, and all this money is to pay bills to survive. Car payments, I could go on, but you understand if you're living your life and you're not independently wealthy. So you call Eversource, and then I say to them, look, I can't do the $270. I don't want to default on this, but I can't do it. Oh, okay. And then you talk with someone, and they say, okay, we'll have the financial department get back to you, and we'll work something out. Great, I'll give you whatever I can. The next Eversource bill comes in. Minimum payment $360 instead of $270.
Quite logical.
Yeah. Basic accounting, right? But okay, so you call Eversource, you wait and wait and wait, you finally talk to someone. You tell them okay, I've kept up with the $270 for X amount of months. Let's say it's 9. I can't do it anymore. I explain this, and okay, we'll fix that for you. Next bill comes, $1,080. So you see where this is going. There's just it just doesn't seem to matter. So again, I've known people who just don't pay their bill, and then somehow or another, they are, I don't know. As far as I know right now, in my current circumstances, in fact, I do know this for sure, I cannot have my power turned off until May 1st. So I fall under that category, and that's fine, and that's great. But what I don't fall under is that I can't have my power cut off, and this is a problem. Now, I do my best. I still pay them something every month, no matter what it is, and they will not work with me. So you try to figure that out, and I just, again, this is one of the problems. So to my point again is that all of this time and energy that they're putting into trying to get money back that I certainly don't have anymore and that I spent on bills is an exercise in complete futility. I mean, nothing's going to come of it other than putting me in financial ruin. So that's why I continue to do everything I can to make sure I can pay everything that I owe on a monthly basis. So, you know, I'm in the midst now of now I haven't even gotten to the point where I have a friend who is an attorney, but I cannot pay her nothing. I can't, just because she's my friend doesn't mean she can do it for nothing, and she has a very busy schedule. So I can't expect her, I'm not able to give her $30,000 to help me out with this. So I can only take her help and advice when I can. So again, you have to do this yourself. And here's what I am going to give as my advice, and I haven't done this yet, so there may be a follow-up video once I speak with my attorney again, because this is where my head is going right now, and it has served me well in the past, but I don't know if it's the correct steps to take right now. I am going to give these people all of the information that they've had over so many times. I mean, literally 15 or 20 times, but I'm going to give them every bit of it. But this time, I'm going to submit my lawyer fees. I'm going to make sure she writes up an invoice for me. I am going to show what's gone on with Eversource for my electricity and the pending problem that I might not be able to pay my bill, and they will shut the power off in May. I am going to go to the cancer center where I had all of my treatment, and I'm going to get all of again, I've done this already, but I'm going to get all of the doctors to say this is the condition he's in, this is what he deals with, this is why he can't have a job, in the sense that I can't go to a job at a certain time. I work all the time, but I have to do it when I have the ability to not have the fatigue and the neuropathy and whatever. So that, and you get my meaning. I'm going to give them a full set of all my bills, my monthly expenses. I'm going to give them pictures of the house and the deterioration. I'm going to tell them, basically, you have to be so thorough. Now, will any of this help? Actually, I can tell you right now, as far as them probably deciding whether I can have the state assistance back until I can get on my own feet again, no. Because it all works. It doesn't go by each person's individual situation. All right, so this may take a moment or two of editing, but I believe where I left off was with this issue of not being able to have any more than $2,000 in any of your accounts at any one time, so collectively. Now, first of all, I believe that I don't know how long that has been in place, and I've tried to find out, but I haven't been able to so far. But in 2023, $2,000. So first of all, you have to eliminate, let's say, 200 at minimum from that, so it's 1,800, because you can't drain the let's say there's two accounts, you can't drain them dry because you're going to get fees, and then that's another issue that the state doesn't seem to want to take into account. By them doing this, and they've kept this up for the last couple years, I have extra fees that I have to pay because my accounts will get down below whatever the minimum is, $300 or $500. So each month, for no reason, I also pay other fees that are not necessary. So I'm losing money there, but this is not taken into account. And then I made sure that I asked specifically, all right, let's say I have $1,800 in my account and I haven't paid any bills, say, for the last week, and then you deposit my Social Security money and it goes over $2,000. Now, of course, the first response that you get over the phone is, oh no, that will never trigger anything because that's the state doing that. And I said, okay. Sure enough, it happened. They sent me a letter. You're over your amount. We need to review your case. And this happened several times. Now, when I went in person to the Social Security office near my home in our vicinity, they said, yeah, this does happen. So basically, it's computerized triggering of an amount. So again, you're wasting their time, you're wasting your time, and this just keeps happening. So then I became diligent about making sure that there was never more than $2,000 in my two accounts. I just decided get rid of the others. I cleaned them out. I don't think they even exist, but if they do, they have like $5 in them each. And I just went from there. And of course, the usual hassle came along where I'm getting charged because my bank accounts get down to about $300 or $200 until the money is put in. And so now here's where the best part of all comes in. So during the turmoil of finding out that I had more than likely terminal pancreatic cancer, I had just prior to that, I had lost my uncle, my mother's brother, who was really my closest family member. We really weren't much of my family left. So he passed away, and then I found out about my diagnosis, and my mother's continued declining health, and my father's eventual death in November of 2020. So my uncle lived out in Ohio. So all of this while I'm sick, I had to call and I had to speak with the superintendent who ran the apartment complex where he had his condo, and
Momentary technical issues. Please stand by.
I don't know what I lost there, so I'm going to backtrack here a little bit. So my uncle, who had passed away, had left me a small amount of money in the form of dividends. These were going to be a monthly payment for a couple years, and they were of about $800 approximately. So at the time, I spoke with the not court appointed, but the lawyers that were suggested by the people who were helping me through the cancer center and whatnot, and they put you in touch with everyone. And so I asked them, does this count as income? And evidently at the time the decision was that it didn't count as income. So okay, now I thought, all right, well, I'm going to have that amount and approximately the same amount from the state per month, which will be just enough so I can pay my bills and just get by until I can get on my feet. Or at the time, I was pretty much preparing my own will, because for 3 to 6 months, my prognosis was that I wasn't going to be here anymore. So you can imagine, this is also a very, very difficult time for you, and it takes a lot for you to accept this, and you must. So I did, and I'm very lucky that wasn't the case. Note to self: need to get a clip to put the phone on a certain a place here where it'll hold while I'm doing road logic on the road.
Good thinking, genius.
So at any rate, I thought I was doing well enough, and that's just enough to get by. So I want everyone to be clear upon this. That money went to monthly bills, so you have car insurance, car payment, taxes twice a year, the electric bill, The heating oil, luckily, I was able to use a program that I took advantage of and was able to get some heating oil, so that was a big help. And of course, living expenses, gasoline, groceries. I don't have I have my internet bill. I don't have which I used as a means of survival. I can't go without the internet. My telephone bill, which was the cell phone, and all of the things that you're going to have to pay on a monthly basis, barely making it by. So now the state has full access to my accounts. They can monitor them. They see what's going in. They see what's going out. So all of this time, say from 2021 till late 2024 or 2022, everything was finally evening out a little, and I'm looking forward to getting off of this assistance and moving forward with my life. But I still needed it because it doesn't just go away. I can't just suddenly have some mystical job that appears. So then I am informed, after they did some digging, I guess, that the inheritance from my uncle is not allowed in that form. Had I gotten it in a lump sum, I guess that would have been okay, I think, but it's not in a lump sum. So I called the company, and no, we can't change it. So they cannot change it. So then the state decided that not only does that count, so they're taking away the bulk of my monthly income. So they reduced that from $800 down to $99 because the other payment through the dividend was approximately $800. So, okay, now I don't have the means to pay all the, you can see where this is going. It's like a bad circular problem where it just perpetuates itself. So luckily, my attorney was able to find what's called the PASS program. And this is a program for people in the position that I'm in and other, positions of hardship after an illness or whatever, where I'm going to present a business plan, and I'm going to make that plan out and then present it, and hopefully they'll approve it, and then that way I can get back on my feet and do things to make sure I don't need any of this assistance anymore. But seemingly that isn't good enough, and that is also reliant upon them accepting that. So I have been doing as much research as I possibly can to find out if excuse me, I'm in a rotary, which is like taking your life in your hands in these days.
You sound like you're 95.
Yeah, I know. I sound like the old guy that I got it, but it is true. Anyway, so that is going to be presented this coming week. I hope that I get approved for that. And after that, I have to do this hearing, which is what I was speaking about with you and telling you, be extremely prepared. Now, I don't believe, because I think it's a system that is very locked in, I don't believe that me telling them what's going on and how bad things are financially and how much I need to work and be able to work to allow this to go away, I don't think that's going to matter to them at all. But on that's going from my experience, and that's going from my opinion. I am not a lawyer. I am not an attorney. I'm not familiar with this. So I'm hoping that my attorney, who said that one of her colleagues specializes in this Social Security type laws, will help me here and tell me if that's the right thing to do. Like, for instance, right now, I don't even know if this video is the right thing to do, but I'm so past the point that I'm trying everything possible, and I'm trying to do this in order to help other people, so you're aware of the pitfalls that can happen to you. And, you know, these things happen to you at the very worst times in your life. Now, for me, I'm living life to its fullest. I don't let this totally engulf me. I make sure that I take time for myself. I make sure that I don't let this become my entire focus. But in a balance, I have to address this. I cannot just sit back like so many people that I know, and they just allow these things to happen. They lose their home, or they lose their apartment, or they just ignore bill. You know, you cannot do that. You know, I mean, if you are going to live in our society right now, as much as you want to be secluded, which I really don't care for being involved in like our community exactly. That's never been my thing. But you have to pretty much play by the rules, the minimum rules. And if you don't, you're going to have a lot of issues. Your other option is to go live off the grid, and that's becoming more and more difficult to do unless you're independently wealthy, and then you don't care anyway. So my point is this: I'm not complaining. I'm glad to be alive. I'm lucky I'm alive, and that is where I stand with all of this. But I want people to be aware of what you can do for preventative measures. So here's the next part of the video. I may put this in a couple different parts. Maybe I'll cut this up because this is going to get extremely long, and I think maybe parts 1, 2, 3, and 4 might be a better idea. So here's the first thing. We never think, this is number one, we never think we're going to get a life-threatening disease, or you're going to hear those words, you have 3 to 6 months to live. Okay, so now I've always been very good at adapting to whatever situation that I've been thrust into. I don't know why. It's not me, saying, hey, how great it's just a matter of fact. I adapt to what I have to. I don't know. I have a few theories on that, but I'm not going to go into that right now. So my first piece of advice: expect the unexpected all the time. Your life can be sailing along in a wonderful, manner. You can have everything you want. You can be in love. You can, have the money that you need, financial success, whatever. And then, like that, it can be pulled out from under you, and you will fall on your ass if you are not prepared. So, for me, that number one, be prepared for anything. I got that news, and immediately, as it was an absolute change, I believe. I would almost say that, and I'm not a neurologist or anything, so I'm not going to, this is my thoughts, but I do believe I've heard studies on such things. Your brain chemistry actually changes when you are in fight mode or flight mode, either one. And I went right into, okay, now I have to survive. So that is your first priority. You get news that you have something that serious with you wrong, as in a physical or some type of disease or virus, whatever it is, you must go into a complete survival mode. You put everything else to the side, and that is number one. My second piece of advice is, no matter if you're 25, 45, or 75, make sure that you have a good attorney, have a good attorney, and do this stuff ahead of time. Now, when I found out that at that time period when it was more likely that I was going to die, I got my will in order immediately, and that's what I did. Now, I did it under that level of stress, and I'm not 100% sure that everything that I did at that time was the best choice. So what I am going to do is I'm going to revise that very soon. Now, even those words, I hear myself saying them, I don't like that because it's not done. The will I have is workable. I'm not happy with it completely, but it does the job. But I have to prioritize. So right now, it's almost like the hierarchy of needs. You know, you first have to have food, you have to have shelter, you have to have water. Then you move up to, you have to have a social environment, you have to have people to rely upon in your community. Then you have to have mental stimulation, you have to have a purpose, and so on. Well, on that triangle, I may not need to have immediate survival mode now, but I have many of the things that are going to make my life very difficult if I don't deal with them immediately. So the will, I hope to get done in the next couple months. But right now, my priorities are figure this out with the state, get it done. I don't want to be working on constant paperwork for the state and hopefully I can achieve that very soon, because it's just a waste of time, a waste of money, and it's foolish. You know, I don't need it, and well, I do need it for a little while, but I want to get rid of it completely. So that's my number one priority. Number two, this PASS program that I'm working on is essential for me to get on my feet, and these are what these programs are provided for. So I have to do that to the best of my ability and make sure that I present it in a professional manner and, do this correctly so I get accepted into this program, which is somewhat stressful. Number three, dealing with the next steps of all that. I have a house that isn't insured. This is not good. I have a house that's deteriorating. This is also not good. It needs to be repaired. So in order to do this, I have to get financially stable. So I hope that I am able to do that in the next 2 to 3 months and put this to rest finally. So those are my recommendations. The other one that I think is vitally important is to remember that when you first get the news that you may be in serious, dire threat to your life, and you may have to come to terms with your life being over, you will get a tremendous amount of help, as long as you've been a halfway decent human being, from your family and your friends. And if you do have ties with the community, people were great, okay? But this is a temporary fix. They have lives, and the community moves on, and there's another emergency, and someone else got cancer. And I did say this before, but I want to emphasize it. That's great while you have that to boost you, but it doesn't go on forever, and you shouldn't expect it. I've seen these people who are forever constantly begging for more money, and I'm not at all trying to say that they're probably not in dire need and they probably need it and whatnot, but it's just not plausible. You just can't keep asking people for money. They have to go on with their lives, and there are other people and animals and everything. There are other charities that are in desperate need of help. So use that while you have it initially. If your prognosis improves, get yourself together. You don't want to be living on a state budget for the rest of your life. Now, don't get me wrong. There are people who do need that and are entitled to that. And if they never recover fully and can never support themselves, they are completely entitled to that. And that's what our taxes pay for. That's what Social Security is for, and disability. And these are all programs that know they should not be cut. When they are used properly, they are vital to people's ability to survive. So I'm not knocking people who need them, But what I am saying is that if you don't, and you want to live a life where you're not basically on a chain, a ball and chain, because they're going to monitor you, and you can only do so much. You can only achieve so much if you're on that type of monitoring. So, you can't go and make more money. You can't go and pursue a career because you're stifled by that. So my advice to everybody is get with it, no matter how hard it is. If you made it through something that was potentially terminal, you can do this too. So do it. So there's that. And lastly, the only advice I would have, and I think this might only be pertinent to people who have been through something where they believed, at least for a substantial amount of time, that their life was ending. And that is that duality that I've spoken of before. I can't explain it to you, and I don't want people I know to go through it. It's a very difficult process, but in all honesty, it was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And after that, you are able to, every moment of your life, if you don't take it for the best that it can be, even the tough times, even the times that are really, really difficult, then you're a fool. Because I think that metamorphosis happens to you whether you're aware of it or not. I am definitely consciously aware of it, and I know subconsciously I'm aware of it. I value those little moments. I value the time with my pets. I value a beautiful scenery like I am experiencing right now here in the deep northwest woods of Connecticut and hills. And I value the love of my wife and my close friends, and little things. Everything that you think you may have taken for granted, don't. If you're like, oh well, I'll see the moonlight tomorrow, go out and look at the moon. Go out and film it. Go and listen to a concert that you want to go to. Don't say you'll do it tomorrow. Here's another small bit of advice for you. If you have things that you bought and you put them away for a rainy day, get them out. And what I mean by this is, don't keep. I wear many of the same types of clothing a lot, so I used to like to get doubles and triples of them. And I would wear my clothes till they were practically falling apart. They were clean, always clean, but tattered. Don't do that. Just take the damn pair of pants out of the wrapper and put them on and live a little bit. If you have, whatever, you collect things and you left, oh, well, this one's in the box. Put it out where you can see it. Don't have boxes of collectibles and statues and things you love. You know what's going to happen? You're going to die eventually.
Bedsheets.
And whoever is there, whether they're benevolent or not, they're going to find this stuff, and you've got to realize it may have meant a lot to you. They don't give a rat's ass. So they're either going to sell it or throw it away. Or keep it, possibly. I don't know. That's true. But, mostly they're probably going to get rid of it. So, enjoy your things to what extent material things matter, which they don't very much. And just live. Just live every moment. And before I go into the level of being a horrible cliche, which that'll happen soon, I will leave it at that. And I would like to just, as always, say, be kind to one another whenever you can, which is almost all the time. Please be kind to animals. They need us to be their voice. And that's it. Just do it. It's so easy. Peace. All right, I had a quick question for you. So I really need to know. So, okay, now you didn't answer this question, but I made the assumption that you are a spirit.
I never confirmed that.
Okay, so you can't confirm that. So, all right, here's another question. I've noticed that while I'm doing Rogue Logic on the road videos, I still have conversations with you.
That you do.
Okay, you acknowledge that. So, if my studio isn't haunted, then it must be me that's haunted. Is that correct?
That's an odd one.
No. All right then. Well, I'm wondering what the other possibilities are, and if you could just give me, another possibility, it would really help a lot.
How do you know you're not just hearing voices?
Yeah, that doesn't help. That's rather troubling. So, I think we're going to not go with that possibility, and I think we're going to leave that at that. So, you have a fine day wherever you are.
You as well, Nutter.
Thank you. And yeah, I'm not going to think about that because that's a little disturbing. So, peace, everybody.